You do not need to have a specific degree to get into cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a very vast area, and there are many areas in cybersecurity which you can get into, whether you are a technical person or whether you are a functional person. You need to be curious about things. Whenever you in some problem, you should be able to take it up and get into deep into it. You need to have problem solving ability. While there are certain skills which you can develop, certain tools, certain technologies you understand over a period of time, every problem is a different problem in case of cybersecurity. So you have to learn on the fly and try to find out whether you can apply the learning on the fly. If you are ready to make your hands dirty, there are tons of tutorials out there. There are tons of very good tools out there which have their own good documentation. And people like me who are also contributing into open source, they have put a lot of things together. There are a lot of very good channels where you can ask questions. So there's no scarcity of knowledge. AI is becoming complex every day. AI is being used to solve problems. At the same time, AI is being used to create attacks, cyber attacks. Be hands-on. So cybersecurity, a lot of things are like mathematics, right? While you can be very good theoretical mathematician, but unless you practice, you cannot become better at it, right? The more you practice, the better you become in mathematics, right? That's how it is.
Here I am, bringing you insightful conversations about modern day career opportunities, perspectives, and powerful stories. Welcome to Career Explore. I am your host, Jay Kishore Bayadi.
So, in this episode of Career Explore, we are joined by Nishant Krishna, the co-founder and CTO of Visiminds Technologies, a startup specializing in cybersecurity and cyber forensics. Basically, Nishant Krishna has about 24 years of experience working on scalable architecture, cybersecurity, cyber forensics, API development, cloud, and virtualization. And he has about 6 patents granted and 9 patents filed pending. He's also a guest professor, adjunct professor at Ramaya Institute of Technology, Reva University in Bangalore. And most importantly, he is an author of book Python for Cyber Security cookbook. So I'll give the link of that particular book in the description below. So basically, this Python for Cybersecurity cookbook is aimed at a wide range of people interested in cybersecurity, including professionals, researchers, educators, students, and those who considering a career in this particular field. So he is a Master of Science, MS in Software Engineering from BITS Pilani, along with the many technical certifications. So, so Nishant, welcome to the show, and I am honored to have you on my show. So, Nishant, before we actually begin, right, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your current role and experience?
Sure. First of all, thanks, Jakishore, for the introduction, and thanks for having me on this podcast. Let me talk a little bit about myself. So, as you already mentioned, that I have around 24 experience. Apart from the company you mentioned, Tech Machine Labs, which is a company based on product development, last year also I founded a company called Visiminds Technologies, which is focused on cybersecurity and cyber forensics consulting. And apart from that, one of the focus areas is high performance databases. That's tangential part. I'll tell you later. How databases come together as part of cybersecurity, because
Yeah, that would be
you're always
interesting.
working with you're always working with enormous amount of data,
Mhm.
and especially in threat intelligence and other areas. So that's our focus area.
Mm.
And right now, I'm executive director of Visiminds Technologies, and as you mentioned, that I'm also CTO of the startup Tech Machine Labs. So as
Mhm.
part of my role, so I'm a hands-on person.
Mhm.
So I do work with multiple clients on their requirements, and as well as helping them fulfill their security requirements, especially. So, for example, one of the things we have been working on is vCISO and vCTO consulting, where we act like a virtual CISO or CTO for companies ranging for small company to large companies. So that's my current role, which is quite exciting in terms of overall, experience in terms of type of people we work with, the type of challenges we solve all the time at a regular, intervals, and yeah, that's about it. So anything else you'd like to know about that?
Yeah. Sure. So, I mean, what I can see in your LinkedIn profile, or, about, I have seen a brief about your experience in your book as well on Amazon. So,
Mm.
so basically, I feel, you are a complete a techie person, right? I mean, so basically, how did you land your job? I don't know, how did your interest towards this cyber security it is developed? And can you explain your journey so that and how what is the kind of roles you have done in terms of to be, I mean, you are now here, founded a company in the area of cyber security. So if you could throw some light on, what is the kind of a typical, not typical, your journey you have, and your experience with that.
All right. So one of the things which I would like to tell you that I didn't start with cybersecurity. So the job. So while I'm deep into cybersecurity, I didn't start with cybersecurity as a job per se, right? So I've been working from 2000, and when I started working on the backend part of it, especially working with networking, Linux. In fact, not even Linux, other systems which are Unix-like systems, and also on the protocol side. So a lot of knowledge which is at the system level, and my programming language of choice that time was C and shell script. So I had this background because as a cybersecurity professional, you can become really good in this field if you have system knowledge of the system, how the system works properly together, right, with other things. For example, how your operating system uh, functions at the level of system, as well as how it works with different networking protocols, how it interacts with other systems, because these are the type of things which a threat actor, somebody who's trying to exploit the vulnerability in the system, or trying to exploit the weaknesses, and they will use weaknesses in this type of systems to take advantage of the weaknesses, right? So that's what I started with. And then I moved to actually somewhere around 2004 or 5, moved to Java, and I did work on Java for a very long time. Again, that time there was not a luxury that you could find everything you want. Stack Overflow was just coming up. You cannot just search for things and find it, right? So we
Yes.
had always learned in a tough way. I also did a lot of work around assembly from my experience point of view. And while 2000 is where I started my career, I was in computers way back from 1995, so almost 27, 28 years. So somewhere around so 2000, after 2006, I switched a company to a different company, and somewhere around 2008, so I was actually a tech lead for a product, and somewhere around that time, I got into some of the requirements in the team. So, for example, every product has to undergo security assessment, security testing by various teams, and I
Yeah.
became one of the point of contacts for that. So, for example, you need to do vulnerability assessment, you need to do licensing based, discussions and so on. Uh, things around secure coding, things around whether you have taken care of fixing all the issues, loopholes. So I got involved into that, and slowly I got into cybersecurity from that angle. And when I moved forward, became more experienced, I also worked a lot on the compliance side. So of the product, and also helping other people, because now by 2015, 16, I was known as an expert in this area, and people started asking for my help. And of course, that's not part of my regular job, but maybe around 5 to 10% of what I was doing. And somewhere around 2008 18, sorry, when I became an entrepreneur, That's where I got deep into cybersecurity.
Hmm.
Last 3 to 4 years, I've been working, spending most of my time in cybersecurity and starting and areas around it. For example, cyber forensics as well is something I'm working. So that's my journey.
Hmm.
But just to summarize, there's top skills which helped me become successful in this area, and I'm still learning.
Hmm.
Cybersecurity is a vast ocean.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's not you can start learning, you can jump into the ocean and start learn swimming,
Hmm.
or if you and you would keep learning for the rest of your life if you are a experienced swimmer also.
Hmm.
There's no end to it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
top skills required for this type of no matter what you who you are in cybersecurity,
Hmm.
knowledge of the system at deep level,
Hmm.
OS,
Hmm.
knowledge of the OS,
Hmm.
not as a user but as an administrator,
Hmm.
knowledge of protocols, knowledge of networking.
Hmm.
Uh, and again, when I say OS, it does not mean that you need to know Linux.
Hmm.
Linux is the top preference for folks who are in cybersecurity. But guess what?
Hmm.
3/4 of world system are running Windows,
Hmm. Hmm.
and if you know Windows in deep,
Hmm.
you have an edge over others.
Hmm.
And part, and then of course things which come around it. For example, you need to know scripting, you need to know languages like Python. If
Hmm.
you are working on Windows, you need to know PowerShell. So
Hmm.
these are top skills right now when you are working with cybersecurity. And of course, this is not a not the only things which you need to learn, but there are just this good place to start with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you said 3/4 of people are working on Windows, right? I mean, there are Windows machine. I mean, the market
So
share in terms of
3/4 of systems around the world,
around
around we have a system around the world are Windows running
Windows.
Windows,
So, is
and
there
most of them
any?
are
Yeah, I mean, in terms of learning, is there any? You said if you know Windows as well. I mean, whatever the required for security related stuff, right? If you know Windows as well, you will have an edge. So, is there any difficulty? What is the kind of difficulty level with the Linux and Windows if you want to master, cybersecurity? Uh, I mean, the concepts
on
or
the on the at
yeah,
the on the Windows side.
yeah.
So the good news is
Hmm.
that at the operating system level,
Hmm.
the principles remain the same,
Hmm.
irrespective of
Hmm.
the OS you're using. You could be using Windows in terms of your personal editions, professional edition, or server edition.
Hmm.
Same thing, Linux
Hmm.
and Mac. All of them, Mac OS, all of them have similar principles in terms of operating system.
Okay.
All of them have process model, all of them have thread model, all of them have file system, all
Hmm.
of them have way to schedule things,
Hmm.
user management. So
Hmm.
once you know one OS,
Hmm.
it's very easy to switch to another OS.
Hmm.
It just depends on whether you're trying to explore, whether you're willing to explore
Hmm.
uh, the deep end of the ocean actually. So
Okay.
it's actually pretty easy if you once you master one OS,
Hmm.
it's easy to do other. And of course, most of the folks may have working knowledge of Windows.
Hmm.
It's just that you need to go one layer down.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So, it's very interesting to know that the various aspects of cybersecurity area interested you, and you get you mastered all those skills in all these years. And as a cybersecurity consultant, may I know what exactly one does in that job, basically. Basically, a typical day of cybersecurity consultant's a job.
Okay. So based on, so I don't have a direct answer to that.
Hmm.
So let me explain you why.
Hmm.
So based on the company you are in, based
Hmm.
on the type of work the company is doing,
Hmm.
you may not have a fixed agenda for every day. It's not like, okay,
Hmm.
you come in the morning, pick up a feature, start coding. By the evening, you push the code and go home.
Hmm.
Not really.
Hmm.
So in this case, so for example, let's take an example of cybersecurity analyst.
Hmm.
Cybersecurity analyst is generally entry level position in cybersecurity. So an analyst would be doing things like vulnerability assessment or penetration testing. It's called also VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, then at the end of it, that person may also be generating reports, reporting it in a way which can be understood by the client, and they can go ahead and fix the problem. Next day, it's possible that that person may be working with the client to help them mitigate the issues.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, what would happen is maybe they have to do rescan. Cybersecurity analysts can also help with work with other teams. Uh, let's say if there is a cyber attack,
Mm.
so they could give them let's say a bunch of log files and say these are the log files from these systems. Can you help us understand that what happened? Okay. So again, there's no fixed job on a daily basis. It changes based on the requirement. But generally, what happens is if it's a large project, let's say a large VAPT project uh, of, let's say, scanning, say, 50 systems. So that project itself can span for the next 1 month because it's pretty large project.
Mm-hmm.
But depends on the requirement of the team, depend on how large is the company. For example, Visiminds Technology, our company is a small company right now,
Mm.
and we do work with the client. But as a entry level cybersecurity professional, you may have different jobs every day based on the requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yeah. But again, based on who you are, again, so cyber security analyst is one of the type of jobs you have.
Mm.
But let's say you are somebody like a senior person, let's say, a security manager.
Mm.
So security manager would be working with multiple analysts, multiple security professionals to schedule the jobs, schedule
Mm.
all the tasks, and
Mm.
then also coordinate a lot with other teams, clients, to make sure that everything is working as per schedule.
Mm.
There may be requirement of various tools, requirement of environments, how to allocate them,
Mm.
how to make sure that you have all the compliance, how to make sure you have all the approvals. It's not like,
Mm.
if you get a system, you can go ahead and then just bombard it with various tools, and then you may actually get into trouble because you need to have all the consent from the clients and so on. So
Mm.
based on who you are,
Mm.
the role really varies. And
Mm.
in a small company like us, people do take up multiple roles. They
Mm-hmm.
do wear multiple hats in a
Yeah.
in a in a jargon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't have a direct answer to your question, but you have got the idea.
Yeah, I understood. I mean, in the startup environment, it's entrepreneurship, right? I mean, you may have to wear multiple hats, and it will, I mean, give you an opportunity to learn and you know become a master in whatever you are doing. So, I mean, coming back to your the company, right? You have founded a company. Can you give us a little bit details about your company and what exactly is the problem you are actually trying to solve through your startup?
Sure. So I will talk about the current company, Visiminds Technologies,
Mm-hmm.
which I founded last year in October.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason of founding this company is to be focused on the consulting in the area of cybersecurity, cyber forensics, and high performance databases.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are trying to fill the position of niche. It's a very niche consulting where we are not like an outsourcing type of partner. We
Mm-hmm.
become more like a partner where we work at the executive level.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say example which I gave is CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. So
Mm-hmm.
small companies, for example, they cannot afford a CISO because CISOs are highly paid and CISOs are very senior positions. And also, large company are looking for CISOs who are experienced. Okay, really experienced. They have worked with a large number of clients and have worked on very complex problems.
Mm-hmm.
So we fill that niche area by offering virtual CISO services. It's also called fractional CISO. Uh, uh, these are synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
And here what we do is we fill the role of all the things which a CISO would do. I mean, it's an executive position where we can help them realize all their security goals, help them become better compliant, work with their clients if there are requirements of coordination between multiple teams to realize their security goals and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the services we have been providing. We also do provide services in GRC, which is governance, risk, and compliance.
Mm-hmm.
We also provide services in databases, of course, and in related areas, and also forensics. We have been doing not on a regular basis, but sparingly. We have been doing very niche area, based trainings in this area, which is corporate trainings in cybersecurity and forensics as well, where we look at, I mean, they are normally 75% plus hands-on training, and where we go through all the standards, tools which are used, all sort of techniques, try to simulate the environment of, let's say, a cyber attack, or simulate the environment of how a cyber forensics would work. There are things we are working on, but they are very niche area type of thing where we always talk about, okay, we are in the top 5 to 10% of the services in terms of what we could provide.
Okay. So, those tools and all you have mentioned, right? I mean, is there any major player in the market? I mean, even Microsoft, I mean, many other security companies, who are your competitors basically?
Um, I don't think I can answer that question because we are so small right now. We are growing very quickly,
Okay.
but I don't think we have a competitor because we are not at this stage where we can look for a competitor. But I'll answer this question a different way.
Okay.
So there's always requirement. So cybersecurity is a very, very big area, and there are a lot of areas in cybersecurity. And one aspect. Second aspect is everybody needs cybersecurity, no matter who you are. You could be an individual, you could be a small company of 3, 4 people, you could be a SME, you could be a large company, you could be a doctor, a lawyer, a government official, a defense personnel. Everybody needs cybersecurity. So guess what? There's always a requirement for yet another player in this market. And hence, we did realize that there are specific areas where we can contribute. And also, we are working on giving back to society in terms of, helping students and various, intricacies of cybersecurity, equip them with skills. So, for example, we have been working with many colleges, well-known colleges, where we take care of maybe a small part of their curriculum, where we bring in industry knowledge.
Okay.
Right. So cybersecurity is a very vast area. So both aspects, we are trying to close this loop by focusing on certain areas which have gap. And of course, as I mentioned, we really do not have competitor right now because we are focusing on the niche area.
Yeah.
And again, of course, a lot of requirements. And there could be 100 more people like us coming in. Still, you have requirements in this area. It's so vast and it has so many requirements.
Yeah, it looks like you zeroed in on a very niche area, and I think you will be the early player in this area. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that's great to hear. So, I mean, can you just give us some kind of a overview about why cybersecurity, especially in this era of AI, right? Era of AI, why it is so important, and also especially in the era of this cloud. I mean, especially the digital age, right? What we call. So, can you just give us the overview of cybersecurity, the importance of cybersecurity, and the how a cybersecurity plays a major role in safeguarding the data, safeguarding the the assets or digital assets or whatever that is. So it would be really helpful so that our viewers or listeners can understand what exactly it is. I mean, in a simple in a way, if you could explain us, that will be really helpful.
Sounds good. I'll probably start with something physical. So let's say you want to protect your asset, a physical asset. A physical asset in your case or anybody else's case could be something valuable. Something which is a value to you, not to others. So for example, it could be your electronic devices, it could be your jewelry, it could be your cash, it could be your certificates, it could be some memorabilia, something which you have got. So that's valuable to you. Okay. These are physical assets and you want to protect them. Right? How do you protect them? You protect them by having multiple layer of security. So for example, you may keep your all these physical assets inside a cupboard which is locked, and then after that cupboard is inside a room, and then you also have an entrance to your apartment or your house which is also under lock and key, and then beyond that you may also live into a gated community, or you may be a part of one society which has some guards. So we are already talking about layered security. You understand what I'm saying, right? It's a layered
Yes, yes.
security.
Yeah.
So the more valuable your assets are, the more amount the more the security you will provide, you will put there, and you will have more layers of security. For example, if you want to safeguard something which is even more valuable, you may probably put into bank safe, because you know that a bank safe is probably more secure. They are also fireproof and theft proof. Now, if you look at the same analogy in terms of assets, in terms of digital assets, so far, we are talking about physical asset. You can touch, feel, you can look at them. Digital asset is something which is virtual. What could be something which you want to protect? You want to protect your confidential data. You want to protect your PII, personally identified information. You want to protect something which is sensitive, something you are working on. You are a company who are working on something groundbreaking, and you don't want anybody to know about it unless you come out as a product. So you want to protect all these things. They are critical in nature, in terms of protection, and that's where cybersecurity comes in picture. So while we have been protecting our assets from ages, from the time we have gained consciousness, in the same way, digital assets can be protected, and that's where cybersecurity comes in. When you say cyber and security, you are basically trying to protect digital assets. So that's cybersecurity. Now, another area which is used synonymously, but it's not the same, called information security. Okay. Also, in short form, it's called InfoSec. A lot of people
Yeah.
just say, I'm working in InfoSec. Now, the difference between these two is InfoSec is a subset of, cybersecurity is a subset of information security. So while cybersecurity is focused on protecting digital assets, information security is focused on protecting any type of information. So it could be not just digital asset. So for example, information security would also deal with how secure are your premises, how secure are your server rooms. Do you have a security camera? Do you have a guard on duty? Do you have some sort of attendance system? Do you have a way to get inside the premises, and then identification? All those things will come under information security. So that's how it is in terms of the classification. So what was the second part of question? I think I made it a very long answer. So what was the second part of question?
No, it's the same. I know how typically the cybersecurity happens. So, I mean, how you protect the threat? What exactly you'll be doing. See, you explained about multi-layered security, and how typically for a bank, how a cybersecurity threat can happen, and how the your IT infrastructure can protect those data basically.
Sure. So I'll first take it up in terms of the threats, right? How do you so there's a term called attack vectors. Okay. Attack vectors is a term which is used to basically describe how a threat actor get inside the system. I'm not using the term hacker. Please understand this, because hacker has got a very bad connotation. But actually, the term hacker itself started with somebody who could solve the complex problem, somebody who does not give up. Okay, way back maybe in 1670s in I think in MIT or somewhere. But people who can solve very complex problems. But all thanks to our movies, where you're somebody who is wearing a hoodie, sitting in a dark room and
Yeah.
text. But that's not how people work. But hacker also has the black hat hacker, who are the bad people, and the gray and the white hat hacker, who are people like us, who are ethical hackers. Okay, somebody who is trying to protect our systems from the bad people. And that's where analogy is, right? So the way soldiers protect a country at the border, we can protect digital data from inside. That's the idea. And of course, that's how it is. Now, a threat actor can find weaknesses or vulnerabilities in the system, and exploit those vulnerabilities to get an unauthorized entry into the system. And then from there, they can escalate their privileges. They can do certain things which are not supposed to be done. They are illegal in nature. right? So for example, they can, so I'll give an example, one of the simplest example. You have a system which has default password. So for example, your Windows system, the password is administrator. The user is administrator, password administrator. Now, this anybody can guess, or you have a password like admin123. Okay. Something which is well known. Now, that is a attack vector because that can be now used by anybody to get an unauthorized entry to your system. That's a very simplistic example. In the real life, attack vectors are much more complex. So they can, for example, if you have unpatched system, a system which does not have security patches installed, latest security patches installed, and your OS packages have some sort of well-known vulnerabilities, something which has come out in the wild. Right? Now, these based on the version of your packages or version of your components, it may be vulnerable to cyber attacks. And such threat actors are always looking for such type of weaknesses or vulnerabilities to exploit them to their advantage.
Okay.
Right? And these are the common things. Now, when you talk about small companies, individuals, these are the very common attacks. But if you look at very large organizations like a bank, so it's not so straightforward because banks themselves has very strong security. Nowadays, they are one of the best in terms of having the best quality security posture. But mistakes do happen from employees. Attack vector could be somebody who has, maybe you are in a cafe and you just went to fetch your coffee and then you left your laptop open. Okay. Or you have connected to a unsecure Wi-Fi somewhere. So what would happen in that case is somebody can snoop into what you're doing, or somebody can take advantage of. So your open, unlocked laptop can become an attack vector for somebody who's trying to take advantage of.
Okay.
Okay. Attack vector could also be things like phishing emails. So we all the time we get phishing emails, phishing messages on WhatsApp. We get messages which basically says, okay, you have a very great offer. Click on this, avail this offer, and then or maybe you may get a message saying that okay, your one of the accounts is going to be closed if if you don't authorize yourself or don't identify yourself, and they will ask for various personal information like PAN card, Aadhaar card. So please be aware of this type of phishing attacks, because no bank would ask for this type of information. And if something is too good to be true, something which sounds very good, probably it's too good to be true. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the normal thing. So always don't get into, they always trying to lure you in terms of by these offers and everything, right? So these are attack vectors. I think I covered some 4 or 5 examples. These are used to get in the system. So now maybe you already know the answer of how to protect yourself. Keep your system up to date, for example. Apply all the latest security patches. Make sure you don't have default passwords. Change the passwords once in a while. Always, keep your devices secure. Don't leave it in open where it's unattended. These are very, very common practices. But apart from that, when you talk about an organization, large organization, then we talk about specialized software, like different type of firewalls. You have IDS and IPS, intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention system. So these are things which can be, and there are many other specialized software which can be used. You could also have segregation of traffic inside the network, which are through the VLAN or some other means, right? You could have RBAC, role-based access control, which gives you specific privileges based on who you are. So, for example, if you are, somebody who is a programmer, does not need access to sales data, for example. If you are a HR, you do not need access to your code repository or document repository. So this is a segregation of duty is also, or SOD is also called, it's also called RBAC. These are also important ways to protect yourself. There are various ways, covered a couple of them, but you must have got an idea about this.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's a great, the way of explaining, and yeah, I mean, that should be, I mean, I got a very good idea about, cybersecurity, the complete scenario, basically, how typical, scenario plays out in the industry. So thanks so much for that. So coming back to our the careers in cybersecurity uh, area, right? So how one can become a cyber security consultant? I mean, what steps he should need to take? I mean, I think you have briefly explained it in the beginning, but I mean, if you could tell us someone who is already doing some development job, who is well versed with Java or any other the programming languages, Python maybe. So how he can transition himself into this cyber security jobs, and we'll also talk about the opportunities subsequently. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, apart from what I mentioned so far,
Mhm.
uh, you do not need to have a specific degree
Mm.
to get into cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a very vast area, and there are many areas in cybersecurity which you can get into, whether you are a technical person or whether you are a functional person.
Mhm.
So sometimes, many times I got questions about. I have been always been working on management side. I have been
Mm.
manager, product manager, or
Mm.
probably I'm a QA person. Can I become cybersecurity
Mm.
professional? So where do you start from?
Mm.
So one of the things which I always talk about is there are certain things, certain qualities of cybersecurity professional.
Mm.
So some of these qualities are so I have a list of these things. So
Yeah.
so you need to be curious. Um, First of all, curiosity is very important. You need to be curious about things.
Mhm.
Whenever you in some problem, you should be able to take it up and get into deep into it. You need to have problem solving ability.
Mhm.
When you get a problem, um, you should be able to solve it by looking at various approaches. If you get blocked by one approach, you should not give it up. Okay,
Mm.
you should
Mm.
not give up, saying that okay, I don't think I can do it. So
Mhm.
never give up approach is another thing which comes in picture, and also you should be fast learner because again while there are certain skills which you can develop, certain tools, certain technologies you understand over a period of time, every problem is a different problem in case of cybersecurity. So you have to learn on the fly
Mm.
and try to find out whether you can apply the learning on the fly. Now, these are specific soft skills, I would say, for
Mm.
a cybersecurity professional.
Mm.
Okay. However, just 1 minute, please. I think I lost my. Yeah, I think I'm good. Sorry about
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
So these are the soft skills for a cybersecurity professional. Now, having said that, since it's a very technical area, you need to develop technical knowledge as well.
Mhm.
So some of these would include mastering specific technology tools which are used in cybersecurity. For example, if you want to become an ethical hacker,
Mm.
then there is a bunch of tools, standard tools, which are not specific to a region or a country. Once you master them, you could apply it anywhere in the world, right? They are standard tools.
Mhm.
You also need to understand various technologies, like, as I told you, right?
Mm.
Let's talk about multiple levels of how you can become expert in cybersecurity. So I always, when I answer this question, and there's no short answer to that, so
Mhm.
please pardon me on that.
Yeah.
So there are three levels I normally uh, talk about.
Mm.
First level is uh, people who can use certain tools and follow the instruction and use the tools to do certain things.
Mm.
For example, if you are given a system and you are asked to find out if there are ports which are open which should not be opened. Okay, so there are tools which can be used to find that out. If you are given a task of finding the vulnerabilities in the web application, there are tools which can be used to find one. This is level one, that you are very proficient in using many tools, and with some help you could use them. Now,
Mm.
level, so you don't understand how these things are working behind the scene.
Mhm.
You're able to use them, but you do not understand the next level.
Mm.
Second level is where you go a little bit deeper. You also understand how these things are working behind the scene. What exactly are they doing? Now, when you go to that level, you should also be proficient in understanding some code. Let's say, for example, in case of cybersecurity, majority of tools are in open source,
Mm.
and a lot of things are on places like GitHub. So
Mm.
you should be able to go there, look at the source code to understand what this is doing. Maybe you can also download some of the source code, do some small modification, and add some additional feature, even though you don't understand the programming language as such, right? So that's the second level. Second level is go a little bit deeper, understand how the entire thing is working. And then the third level would be that you are really proficient in specific programming language like Python, because Python is the language of choice when it comes to cybersecurity. And of course, Shell script, PowerShell, they're all there. So you should be able to create your own tools. So given a problem, and if you don't find anything which can solve this problem, you may be able to do some automation by writing simple scripts. And that's where you become much better in terms of the competitive advantage, right? Because now you understand the entire length and breadth of what you're working with. And apart from that, you can also create things for your use. You could do some simple automation. You could write simple tools and get your job done. So it's a journey. It's a spectrum. I mean, when you talk about a cybersecurity professional, it's not like today you are just starting and in 1 year down the line you are an expert. Not like that. You grow slowly by getting into challenging areas and by trying out things, hands on. Because absolutely there's no other way to learn these things. So these are the requirements. If you have a curiosity about things, if you are ready to get into things, if you are ready to make your hands dirty, there are tons of tutorials out there. There are tons of very good tools out there which have their own good documentation, and people like me who are also contributing into open source. They have put a lot of things together. There are a lot of very good channels where you can ask questions. So there's no scarcity of knowledge. There's no scarcity of the help you can get online or talk to your. And there are various other events which are happening around the country where people do talk about cybersecurity. People do come and help other people understand what's happening, latest and greatest. So I guess all you have to do is just get started, and you'll find the help on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
true.
by the way, I also wanted to, in fact, I think so. There's a book which I've written, right? Python for Cybersecurity,
Yes.
and one of the reasons I wrote this book, in fact, our publisher was insisted that the book has to be for entry level so beginning to intermediate level people who want to get into cybersecurity. So just like any other subject, any other area, cybersecurity is a vast area, and it's very easy to get lost when you do Google searches to solve your problem. So you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes, I got it.
You do not get a structured information in one go. So what I have done is that I have actually put this together into a structured format, and if you know even little bit Python, basic Python, or you are ready to learn Python, then and then you could go through this book, and this can introduce the concepts very well. And 3 to 4 months, you could be proficient in most of the concepts of cybersecurity.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, in fact, I had a question about that book as well. I mean, and it's good that you have brought it up here itself. Definitely, I have read the good reviews of the book as well in the Amazon, and also I will give the link to this book, on the description of this,
Sure.
the video. And yeah, thank you so much for this book would be, I think, really helpful for who are the cybersecurity profession aspirants, basically. So basically, continuing our discussion, what are the typical, the career paths available in the cybersecurity? As a, if you are like a Python expert, entry level person with the Python knowledge who enters into this, cybersecurity space, how he can progress his career. So basically,
I share my screen because I have some data which I have
yeah,
done
definitely.
So I mean, this slide is about why should you get into cybersecurity, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, exciting work and excellent growth opportunity, as we have already discussed. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to discuss a little bit about the right side.
Mm,
So this is based on my quick research on LinkedIn and Naukri,
mm,
and this basically talks about the type of experience you require for a specific type of jobs,
mm,
right? This is what you're asking, that what type of jobs are available. And again, this
mm,
is not a complete list, but this will
mm,
give you a good idea about what type
mm,
of jobs are out there. For example,
mm,
security analyst is
mm,
the entry level job. You also have security engineer, security architect, consultant, and so on.
mm,
But tester.
mm,
Uh, Again, this is just based on what I found on LinkedIn and Naukri.
mm,
But let's say you are already pretty sharp
mm,
in the requirement which I have mentioned so far.
mm,
You could become a pen tester even with 1 year experience. You
mm,
could
mm,
become, I know, a cloud security analyst with just 1 to 2 years experience, right?
mm, mm,
So this is not a hard and fast rule that you need this much experience. These were the requirements from specific companies, right? That's
mm,
what I came across.
mm,
But one thing which is very evident
mm,
is this area,
mm,
especially with cybersecurity, you will never run out of opportunities in this area.
mm,
Okay. So let's look at the next slide, which is also important from your question. So if you look at this, these are the cybersecurity job areas. Not again, not a complete list,
mm,
but these are the areas which one could work in.
mm,
And the bottom line is very important, that irrespective of your background and your interest area, you may find something which interests you. Okay.
mm,
So for example, you could be somebody who is close to device. Then you could get into IoT security. You could get into things like IoT security or OT security. If
mm,
you are a functional person who is not very technical in terms of working with internals of the system or coding or scripting, you could get
mm,
into like GRC. Okay,
mm, mm,
governance and risk and compliance. You could get into operational security,
mm.
and so on. If you are a very technical person and if you love to work with, let's say, integrations, for example, you could
Okay.
get into like firewalls. You could get into DevSecOps and DevSecOps and so on. So
Mm,
based um, uh, irrespective of who you are,
mm,
irrespective of your background,
mm.
uh, something which you'll find in this area.
Okay.
So that's what is my take on this area.
Yeah, I mean, this is in fact a very, really great share, and really thank you so much for sharing this. So, what is the kind of the impact of AI on this job? So with the advent of AI, how one cybersecurity professional needs to be, learning about AI, and how he needs to be prepared about AI, to become more effective and the ready to take on, or not take on, in fact, I mean, to ready to leverage AI.
Sounds good. So there are good parts and bad parts of the AI in
Mm-hmm.
this area. So
Mm,
let me talk about bad part first,
mm,
and then come to good part. I know,
mm.
because let's get over with the bad part.
Yeah.
So, AI is becoming complex every day. AI is being used to solve problems. At
Mm-hmm.
the same time, AI is being used to create attacks, cyber attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For example,
Mm,
and that was the case when things like ChatGPT came in picture, where you could go and ask question that I have this system and
mm,
I want to break into it. Can you answer? Can you find out a way to break
mhm,
into it? And of
mhm,
course, that time there were not enough guardrails around it.
mhm,
Now, pretty good. So you will not find direct answer on
mhm,
any of the known conversational AI systems, right? But there
mhm,
are AI systems out there
mhm,
who may not be ethical, who may not be from companies who are who are who are not willing to compromise their ethical part of it, right? So our
mhm,
well-known are, they will make sure that you do not use it for your advantage, right? If you are a
mhm,
threat actor. But
mhm,
then, of course, there are a lot of things on internet which can
mhm,
be used, and they are all AI-based system.
mhm,
So threat actors are using this all these conversational AI system LLMs to create attacks. Okay, based on certain say let's say vulnerabilities. So I'll give an example. So I can say that somewhere critical situation that I can say that my system is running Apache a version, certain version, and can you tell me about the weaknesses which can be exploited on this Apache version, right? And an AI system can find out information for you and probably give you steps to exploit this weakness. Okay. Now, these type of things are pretty advanced in nature. A couple of years before, this would have been possible only for people who are willing to spend a lot of time researching things, who are willing to, or who are experts. But today, a bad person, a threat actor, can find out this type of things within minutes. Okay. So it is power in bad hands. It power in hands of people who don't want to use it for a good purpose,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a
Bad part
double-edged
of it.
sword. Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because everything has a good part and bad part. Now, look at the good part. So while AI is being misused by certain set of people uh, who who are of course doing things which are completely illegal in nature, irrespective of jurisdiction, but AI is also being used to secure your system. Okay, so I'll give a couple of examples. So let's say, so a large bank, okay, a large bank can generate so much logs every day, system logs that a human cannot interpret those logs. And the logs are not in MBs; they are in GBs and TBs on a daily basis. So large bank can generate maybe 10, 15 TBs of logs per day. And AI system can find signals in these logs which are not possible otherwise. Okay, you can find anomalies. Something. So, for example, if let's say there is every day something is happening in such fashion. Let's say uh, a bank opens at let's say 10 o'clock in the morning. So we know that after 10 o'clock there are certain set of activities. People come log in. There is a specific type of pattern in the traffic in the network. Then people will start opening their application and stuff like that. And there is a certain type of pattern in the network, and that is a set pattern, right? And every day this happens. Now, one fine day at 10 o'clock, you find a pattern in the network which is completely different than what you expect. Okay, that's an anomaly. Okay, and of course, AI systems are very well, they can be trained to look for such anomalies and then signal somebody saying that check this out. There's something going on. Can you check this out and can you check this out and see if there's some problem? So these type of things cannot be done by human because of the volume of the information and the speed at which it's being generated. Like they are all in the fringes of big data systems, right? Where you are working with enormous amount of data at a very high speed and variety of data. So AI systems are being used for this type of things. AI systems are also used for finding threats. AI systems are used to detect malware. Things like which is doing something on your system which is not supposed to be done. So based on those type of behavior analysis, you could find out that whether the given system is posing a threat to your environment. So AI is being used like anything for such type of use cases, and people are every day they are looking for using AI for other use cases which are much more advanced in nature. So yeah, both. But again, without AI, at certain point, you need to bring AI in picture to deal with cyber threats of complex nature as well as cyber threats which are based on the amount of data you are generating, analyzing that data. So detection of cyber threats is one of the areas in which AI is being used.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, to master this cyber security, skill sets, right? I mean, is there any, certifications required, or do you recommend any certifications, or hands-on learning, willing to learn, hands-on is sufficient?
Yes, absolutely. So there are well-known certifications from some of the organization. For example, EC Council. EC Council has certifications like CEH, Certified Hacker. You have CHFI for forensics. You have CPET for pen testing. That's from EC Council. Then also you have ISC Square, which has certificate like CC and CISSP. You have CompTIA security from CompTIA. You have, I think there's an advanced part of the CompTIA as well. And there's an organization called GISC, which has certification like Security Essential. I would recommend to go for some of the, free certifications. Like, for example, CISSP has, ISC Square has certificate like CC, certified in cybersecurity, if I remember. And there's a free certification, right? But it takes time to go through it. Also,
Okay.
other organization like this, they provide you certification like this, which will actually help you learn new concepts and become better in this. And then after that, CEH is probably entry level certification if you are into ethical hacking. Again, there are certifications around if you want to get into threat intelligence, if you want to get into GRC, if you want to get uh, into security architecture, then there are certifications, right? I guess some of these are important to know, and you could start from anywhere based on your interest. But CEH, EC Council, ISC Square, and CompTIA, these are well-known certifications agencies which issues. Right? Science is very, very good, but science certifications are pretty costly, especially for Indian students. But if it's many of the certificates, if you are working in a large organization and if you have this role, organization do sponsor these certifications, and then it's even better. But if you're doing it individually, then some of these certifications are good to take.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. So before we close, right? I mean, any top two advice for aspiring cybersecurity consultants or professionals you want to give?
Top two advice. Very short top two advices are: first is go deep. Okay, go deep as possible. Second is be hands-on. Because see this entire go deep, of course, because you need to get a little bit deeper into understanding how things are working around you, right? Unless you understand how these things are working, you'll not be able to explain or understand how a threat actor is exploiting these weaknesses or these vulnerabilities, right? That's the first part. Second part is be hands-on. So cybersecurity, a lot of things are like mathematics, right? While you can be very good theoretical mathematician, but unless you practice, you cannot become better at it, right? The more you practice, the better you become in mathematics, right? That's how it is.
Yeah.
In the same way, cybersecurity, some of the tools are straightforward, but unless you see it in action, you wouldn't be able to appreciate it, right? And they need to probably set up your own environment to try out various things and understand how this entire thing works. How these things work in various mix of tools and techniques, right? If you have complex scenario, then how do you use certain tools technique in a specific way to solve those issues? So I think these are the top two advice I would give. Go deeper as possible, and hands-on. I mean, short and sweet.
Yeah, correct. I mean, especially if you're not hands-on and dependent on others or other teams, etc. I mean, then it will be a roadblock for you. I mean, whatever. I mean, in the field of IT now, especially with the advent of this concept of agile, self-organizing teams or self-organizing. You can apply the same concept. You should be ready to learn whatever that is required to fulfill that job. So to become an all-round professional. So, and such professionals will have always demand, and that will be advantage for you as well. I mean, if you have multiple skills, within yourself. So it is it's a wealth of information, Nishant. Right from the from understanding about your journey, your company, what you are doing in the company, and also the information which you have given about how, as a technical person or a non-technical person as well, functional person, can get into a cyber security job, or the as a role, and how he can grow in that particular career, and how a typical a day looks like for a cybersecurity professional. So it's a really great information whatever you have shared, and definitely the aspiring professionals, cybersecurity professionals basically will benefit from this conversation. And I would like to wish you all the best for your startup, and let it become one of the hottest. You are in the hottest field now, actually, with the advent of AI. You are in the hottest space and very niche space, as you said earlier. So I'd like to wish you all the best, and thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation with me. I hope this will be beneficial for all the aspiring and practicing cybersecurity professionals. Thank you so much.
So thanks, Yakishore. Thanks for having me on this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.